Hey guys, so I literally don't start my videos like that. God. How's it going, y'all? So we are here with the Series 13 teams for this month, or this coming month. I just, I'm done with Series 12. I'm ready for Series 13. I'm excited for it. And I'm going to be showing you guys all my rental teams today that I have for next month. As always, it is like a community effort, of course. So if there is anything that I mention about the teams that maybe I would change, and you think, hey, maybe that actually would be a better change, you can always let me know. So when we look at this team, for example, there is one change that I might make, and that would be like taking off Morning Sun from Solgaleo for Wide Guard. You don't necessarily need two Wide Guards. I do think Wide Guard is going to be a very good move in the next series, so it is something to just think about. But I also think that Morning Sun on a very boosted up Solgaleo can be really, really good. So you don't want to underestimate that too, because just because I haven't gotten the chance to click it yet in the like 3 matches I played, doesn't mean it's not good. Then, looking at the rest of the team, I did technically consider if you might switch off Sableye for like Latios, but I do think that Sableye is a really good Pokemon, and having Will-O-Wisp is always really good in a format with things like Zacian. So, just talking about this team in general, this is one of the teams that I already released a few days ago, so this team should hopefully look familiar to some people. The general idea is that we want to just last a long time. We want to bulk our boys up, we want to hit hard if we can, and, we want to make it just hard for our opponent to get rid of everything we have, really. So, we do have access to setting off our weakness policy with the Shadow Sneak Sableye. Sableye is of course great because it can't be faked out by anything besides Scrappy Fake Out. And so, it does, barring redirection, have pretty safe access to setting off that weakness policy and then moderating damage on the other side through things like Will-O-Wisp or Quash. So, inherently really good duo there. Then we also have our other more standard lead would be like Zamazenta Zygarde, right? Where we can start just coaching up Zygarde, trying to make it really bulky, and we do have that coil substitute Zygarde with leftovers. So again, this team does really just want to last for a long time and make it hard for the opponent to get rid of everything before we just get strong enough to destroy them. We could also, of course, start Zamazenta Solgaleo. I thought that would be a really cool alternative lead that is at times very viable. You can just click, coaching, and Solgaleo's boosts can't be taken away from it because of that full metal body. And, besides those, we also have Kyogre, which with Life Orb just hits really hard and is a great alternate option if your opponent is so busy trying to prepare for like Zygarde or Solgaleo, right? So you just bring out a Life Orb Kyogre and just hit. Then, lastly, we have Porygon 2, which is our Trick Room setter, So if we do want to go with Trick Room, which, honestly, this team's not really Trick Room oriented. Our Solgaleo is faster than Kyogre's, and faster than Landorus's, and Zamazenta outspeeds Solgaleo by 1, which is, debatable whether that's really what you want, or whether you... I don't remember if it outspeeds by 1. I might have made it outspeed Charizard. I would have to take a look. But, either way, that's what we got. And, P2 is also always going to be a very good lead if you are being threatened by something like, I don't know, Charizard and Groudon or something, where you can just, like, switch in Kyogre, turn the rain on, and get your Trick Room probably pretty guaranteed. So we do have, ways to set up Trick Room. We have ways that we don't need Trick Room. And we also have ways to just stick around for a while with Eerie Impulse, Coil, Will-O-Wisp, Recover, Morning Strike, Leftovers, all these good things, you know. Zamazenta is a very good support Pokemon, I think, in the general meta. I mean, like, it wasn't really that used in Series 12, but I think with Series 13, because of the more versatility that is going to be offered by having just unlimited legendaries and or mythicals, you know, Zamazenta is definitely going to be able to find its place a little bit better, as will some of the less good legendaries. So that's something to look forward to, I would say. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that explains the team decently well. Like, if we're afraid of fighting moves, or I mean, fire moves, you know, we can switch out into Zygarde or Kyogre. If we're afraid of electric moves, we can switch out into Zygarde. If we're afraid of ground moves, I mean, you'd probably just switch out into, like, P2 or Zygarde or something. But, you know, the team definitely has options and switch outs enough to be annoying, and I would definitely consider this one of my stronger teams for the month. So, good stuff. Let's move on. Second team is a Groudon, a Yveltal, and Calyrex Shadow team. So I was originally thinking about doing a Focus Sash Zeraora on this team, and then I realized, I mean, Scarf E-Webs plus Specs Astral Barrage is pretty good, and so, I mean, why not? You know what I mean? Like, a Scarf Zeraora is going to be able to disrupt the field pretty well. Fake Out Zeraora is, of course, pretty good, as well as Quick Guard Zeraora, which I was originally planning on, but I just felt like this would be a nice way to complement the team. So, yeah, we have Groudon with White Herb to, you know, take away Intimidates. We also have Swords Dance to pair really well with Incineroar or Amoonguss, where we can just start, you know, Amoonguss Groudon, click Rage Powder Swords Dance, or, you know, Fake Out Swords Dance, or you can even just start Calyrex Groudon and make people feel like threatened enough to target the Calyrex, and you just click Astral Barrage Swords Dance, like bing bang boom. There's definitely some good interplay that this team has, right? Like, you can technically click Electrowebs twice, like Protect, Groudon, Electrowebs, and then the next Electroweb is gonna make sure that, like, a Calyrex or something that's basically just not Regieleki is gonna be slower than Groudon, and it's not like you really care about Regieleki being faster than Groudon unless it's gonna, like, click Max Airstream or something and annoy you that way. But so yeah, we have that. I think there's quite a bit of interplay this team has with a Groudon lead, but we also have a Life Orb of Yveltal to be pretty annoying too. So this Yveltal with one Airstream boost will be faster than a Calyrex Shadow. It will not be faster than a Kyogre without an Airstream boost, unless that Kyogre is, you know, just not, or is modest or something, you know what I mean, like not beneficial speed nature. But a beneficial speed nature Kyogre will be faster than this Yveltal. It is something to be aware of, but, you know, we do have Groudon to turn off weather and protect on Groudon and things like that, so there's ways around it. The Yveltal with Life Orb should be able to OHKO a Zacian, but I don't know if I would necessarily bank on it KOing all Zacian. Definitely in the drought, like 100%. But I would probably, if I was going to start, like, Insane Yveltal against a Zacian, click Fake Out Max Airstream into the Zacian turn 1, just to get that chip, even if they protect. And then when you are faster, you know, you do have access to that max heat there. So, you know, I mean, it's not like they really want to keep in Zacian against Instant Yveltal lead, but you do have that. I do think Yveltal in general just really good to pair with a Specs Calyrex, because late game Specs Calyrex is going to do a lot of damage to a minus special defense thing. We've got Incineroar to do Incineroar things. I don't think I need to explain that too much. I do think that this Incineroar set that I've been using for a while is pretty much the best one for me. I'm sure there's little ways that I could optimize it just because I do use my own personal spreads, but the Shuckleberry Incin with the parting shot and all the works is, definitely good. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I want to say about the team. Like, you definitely have electric switch outs, you definitely have ground switch out, or I mean, you have ground switch outs, you have electric switch outs, you have dark or ghost switch outs, right? So your bases are pretty well covered. I mean, we have flying switch outs, we have ice switch outs, so like all the things that could really threaten certain Pokemon on this team are pretty well balanced. And I mean, sure, there's going to be Pokemon like Magearna, which just in the right position is going to be really hard to deal with, or Pokemon like Calyrex Ice, where if they like find a way to get Trick Room guaranteed, it's going to be really hard. Except, we do have Intimidate Spam and Spore and Sucker Punch and all that stuff. So, I mean, yeah, it's the Yveltal team, and I do think that Yveltal is going to be, definitely a big contender for this upcoming series. Next, we've got the final version of the Jeffy Jeff team. So, if you don't remember, hey look, CKY. Shoutouts to the boys, of course. I am, from near the Westchester area, Chester County boys. But moving on. If you get it, you get it. Let's just put it that way. So, this is the final version of the Jeffy team. Jeffy, really originally just wanted to use Rillaboom, P2, and Sudowoodo. But, Sudowoodo is definitely a Gorbusian, not the greatest. And Jeffy had originally, at the end of our video, chosen Ho-Oh as the legendary over Volcanion on this team. I just think that when I looked at the team personally with Ho-Oh over Volcanion, I was like, this team is really bad against Incineroar, and Incineroar is going to be everywhere. So, I mean, sure, we've got the works with like Life Orb Groudon and Meteor Beam and things like that, but I don't really want to rely on those as my only Incineroar answers, and I also don't necessarily think that Ho-Oh is like the end-all be-all greatest Pokemon in this format, as well as, I mean, hey, maybe we want a mythical on this team, So we'll try the Volcanion variant. I'm actually, like, now that I said Meteor Beam and Life Orb Groudon, like, out loud to myself, I'm kind of like, okay, I mean, we can probably get by with Ho-Oh, and all things considered, having a flying Pokemon like Ho-Oh on this team, that would be really good against Groudon, or, I mean, against Zacian, could be really good. But, Volcanion, I do think, does have its own place as well. So, moving on, let's start talking about the team. So, I do think Rillaboom P2 is just an amazing duo, because Rillaboom is generally faster than, like, Incineroar, which is the most common fake-out user right now. So, you do have pretty free access to just, like, fake-out Trick Room, and Porygon 2, as we know, is so bulky that pretty much nothing is going to be able to one-shot it, unless you, like, call who's going to Dynamax wrong, and even in that case, maybe it's going to live. Like, who knows? It's the boy. But, it is a Lunadon team, so, in general, I just felt like if we are going to be going with this more slow-looking team, Lunadon can be really good, and because we're not really using our Life Orb elsewhere, and we did find that having Protect on Groudon was really good in the cases that you just kind of need it, you have this Life Orb. And I actually really like this because you can take almost all of your attack investment off Groudon, and it's kind of like running like an Expert Belt Groudon with, Expert Belt on every move, no matter if it's super effective, and you can make it almost as bulky special defensively as it would be with an Assault Vest without really losing that much. So, like, it hits really hard, it's still bulky because we didn't have to invest in attack, And, I'm really excited to see if that pays off, I guess, So, yeah, Lunadon, pretty straightforward what it does, Lunala is really bulky, so if you don't want to start P2 because they have fake out pressure or something like that, you technically can start Rillaboom Lunala as well and get your Trick Room that way. I mean, yeah, there's Calyrex too, right? Like, you could just do it with Calyrex. And, I guess we technically also have a way to proc our weakness policy with Flash Cannon. I mean, it'd be really awkward to do, especially if you got like a special attack lowering, or I mean a special defense lowering by doing that. And I don't really think you'd want to Life Orb Iron Head yourself that much. But that being said, I guess we do have ways to set off our weakness policy, but we'll just kind of let them do that for us because that's what a lot of people will do. And even if they don't, it's still a Calyrex. I just thought Calyrex was a generally nice addition to this team just because it is gearing up to be a Trick Room team. And I don't know. It's just Calyrex. So, just Calyrex things. You could probably replace Calyrex if you really wanted with something like a Magnet Regieleki, just because, as we all know, having the fastest Pokemon in the game on your Trick Room team is somehow useful, and in some instances very useful. So, that's something to think about, something for me to think about if I want to consider adopting the team to just a different style. I do think, you probably could take Calyrex off for Regieleki, but we also did see multiple, or at least like one solid game last video with Jeffy Jeff where the Calyrex was just a great sweeper. Like, we faced a team where like 3 out of 4 of their Pokemon were weak to Ice, and I mean Sucker Punch, even with Life Orb, just wasn't gonna one-shot Calyrex, so we just Glacial Lance, go, go, go. So it's it has its moments. You can't say it doesn't. But all in all, another team that, because of Porygon 2, really likes to have that longevity and to just kind of play with what's happening on the field to make it hard for your opponent to, knock out your boys. So moving on to our fourth team, sorry. This is definitely our worst team for the month. This is our fun team for the month. So, I needed an obligatory fun team in my life, and this is that team. So, I do generally like physical Regieleki at this point. I know there's some people who think, physical Regieleki takes in 1 Intimidate and then it sucks. But, realistically speaking, this thing does damage. No matter if it gets intimidated, it can well two-shot an instant, even if it does get intimidated. So, if you need to, you're still going to deal with the boy. We do, however, have Thundurus on this team to kind of just make our opponents think, hey, maybe I don't want to bring my Intimidator. I mean, they do have Kyogre, they do have Thundurus, so maybe I don't want to bring my Incineroar. But this Thundurus is actually here to just be really annoying. So, based on the use of the team by our good friend Winter Knight, when I absolutely destroyed with their Prankster Thundurus, I just thought that using Prankster Thundurus would be a very good utility to this very unorthodox team. So, I mean, this team, if I think someone sees it, they're just not going to really know what's happening. They're going to be like, what's going on with this? I don't know. But, we've definitely got our fair share of ways to be annoying. So, we do have Regieleki, which, again, fastest Pokemon in the game, hits really hard. Life Orb makes, its other moves actually useful as well, like Max Airstream and Max Darkness. And, you can also set up for success facing something like a Calyrex Shadow or something, right, where you just Max Darkness, maybe protect Kyogre the first turn, and then click Max Airstream the next turn with Water Spout. So you definitely have some interplay with the Regieleki Kyogre lead. However, I'm running a Choice Scarf Calyrex, and that's why this team is fun. So I didn't want to just do 2 standard boy Calyrex teams. We had to switch it up. Be switch up boys. So one of our best leads on this team is either going to be Regieleki Calyrex. I don't know if it's best, quote unquote, but it's just definitely a lead. Is going to be Regieleki Calyrex, where you can click Max Airstream Glacial Lance and just, go faster than things, even though you'll already go faster than Charizard by +1 with Choice Scarf Calyrex, so you do have that. And we also have Thunderous Calyrex as a potential lead as well, with, Scary Face Glacial Lance, Eerie Impulse Glacial Lance, things like that. But say we don't want to do that, and we want to start a Veltal Thunderous and Volt Switch ourselves, set off our weakness policy, and just do big damage with a Veltal. We could do that, but maybe we don't want to do that. Maybe they have a Regieleki. So we start Pikachu a Veltal, and they Electroweb and set off our weakness policy. Like, that's really why I put Pikachu on this team. Not only because it has Lightning Rod, but because this is the fun team, right? So, I was sitting here, and I was like, what can I do to make this team better against, an opposing Regieleki or something? Well, you could use Landorus in the final slot. Landorus is good. Landorus counters a lot of things. But, what if we used Pikachu? And, Pikachu's, anti-synergistic with Regieleki sometimes, Thunderous sometimes. We have 3 electric Pokemon on this team. But, hey man, we're gonna make do. And, sure, there are definitely situations where we could have a really bad time against, Trick Room or something like that. But I do think that this team covers for its bases well enough and can throw the opponent off guard enough that, we're just going to try to make it work. So I don't think I, necessarily explained this team super well by saying all that, but I think I did decently well. We could consider a Citrus Berry Thunderous over Mental Herb, but I felt like Mental Herb would be useful in the case that we start getting taunted, and, maybe we just taunt them back. We do have also Tailwind on a Veltal, which, there's definitely give or take for. You could do Protect a Veltal. We have Max Guard at least, but I just figured, if this team gets in a bad place against a Tailwind, we technically do have our own Tailwind, and this is kind of just my standard weakness policy of Veltal set. So there is that. I'm assuming my roommate might be coming in right now, but it's fine. This final team, I'll be done filming in a sec. This final team for the month, again, is one that you guys should be familiar with because I did show it already. This is the team we used yesterday, right? I think in yesterday's video. So, it's pretty straightforward, I think, as well, what this team wants to do. We have Tailwind Whimsicott, as well as Fake Tears Whimsicott. So, you can really just make yourself faster or make yourself do big damage with 4 out of 5 of your other options, right? Obviously, Zacian doesn't care about Fake Tears, but it likes doing damage, and that's nice. So, yeah, we have a Veltal, which I think is great as a ground switch out. We are also running a Lumberry Veltal on this team, which you might think is very awkward, but a Veltal is actually our best answer for Venusaur on this team. So, as we saw in the last video, starting Whims Veltal against a Venusaur, really does pay off. Where you could just click Fake Tears Max Airstream if you know they don't have a Sash and they're Koba, but maybe you just set Tailwind, Max Airstream, and then next turn you can take them out with Moonblast and then just target the other thing, right? But you don't have to worry about being put to sleep when you have a Lumberry, a Veltal, and there's not really much else you worry about with a Veltal, besides a Thunderbolt paralysis. You can't get Prankstered, so you really just have the Lumberry for that one instance, but it can be pretty clutch. Besides that, we do have the WYV4 Magearna. It's really hard to find the time where Magearna is the best option on this team, but because we do have Tailwind, you have access to making it faster than Calyrex's or things if your opponent just doesn't have ways to deal with that, which, any good opponent technically probably has a way to deal with Pokemon that are faster than Calyrex tier. But if they don't, just click Tailwind, Dynamax Magearna, have a good time. But if they're gonna find a way to set up Trick Room, maybe Magearna is your best answer to that, with like a Sucker Punch, a Valtal. Well, you don't want to set off weakness policies, but maybe you click like Fake Tears, Max, Steel Spike, and Oko, a Calyrex Ice or something, I don't know. And then lastly on the team, we do have that Choice Scarf Kyogre, just to pair with Fake Tears Water Spout turn 1, even though you could definitely argue that doesn't necessarily make sense to run a Choice Scarf Ogre. Like, you could just run Mystic Water Protect, click Protect Tailwind turn 1, and like deal with it that way. But yeah, I don't know. I think it works technically, and it does provide an advantage when you do need to be faster, and you just are, right? Like, you're not always going to need Kyogre on this team, and, that Scarf to some degree kind of makes it okay, I guess. And then lastly, yeah, we do have that Assault Vest Volcanion. I just think it's a good option, especially on a rain team, and when your opponent has Sun, Volcanion can profit off that as well. So yeah, I think there's definitely options besides Volcanion, but this is like our most mythical using team, I feel like, for this month. So there is that. We have teams without mythicals, we have teams with 1, 2 mythicals, but I do think, you don't technically need mythicals in this format. Like, a team with like 4 legendaries and 2 supporters, or like 4 legendaries, 2 supporters, or 3 legendaries, 2 supporters, and like Regieleki or Incin or something. Like, Incin's a supporter, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you don't need mythicals, and I definitely think some of the best teams we'll see around are not gonna need mythicals. So there is that. But if we want to try to rank these teams really quickly before we end the video, I would say maybe, like, I really do like this coaching team. I think there's ways to play around it, so I'm not going to sit here and call it the best. But I'll say, like, these 3 teams I feel like are definitely on the upper echelon. All 4 of these teams feel good to me, and then we just have the fun teams. So let's not sit here and call any teams bad. Let's just say that's what we've got. And, I do hope that you enjoy the teams. So feel free to tell me what you think. Feel free to tell me if there is any sort of adjustments that you would make, like any of the things that I mentioned. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. So peace out.